Good morning and welcome to not my shop. We're at Kenneth's because when I'm at someone else's place, I'm far more inclined to put tools away and stay on task. And we're here with something that you haven't seen in a while. It is my 2003 Aprilia Tuono, and it needs a lot of work. I also need a lot of work. I just got done, we've been exercising, home gym activities, well, garage gym. I'm wrecked. Anyway. What we have here is a 2003 Italian Superbike, and the main reason it is here is this. This is the rear suspension linkage. Modern bikes don't just have a shock that attaches to the rear swing arm, they have a linkage assembly that kind of makes the spring rate more progressive, so it's harder to move and compress the suspension as it compresses. And that's preferable for some reason. But this has started clunking when I go over bumps, and that's a bad deal. So we need to take this apart and replace the bearings in there. Unlike a lot of bikes, this has bearings instead of bushings. And then I bought a number of goodies that are around here somewhere to go with it. And we have that over here. So this is the new bearings. They are needle bearings with some sleeve bushings. We got seals, and then we have dust cap washer deals. We have a special tool for the installation and removal. Most of them go into a dog bone that is removable, and we can do it on the bench, but 2 of them go in the swing arm, and that's gonna suck. We have new intake boots, that's the term. And the fun thing about these intake boots is these, does it say? It doesn't say. So there's the part number. And basically, the funny thing about these is these are for one of those Can-Am 3-wheelers, because this bike uses the same engine as a early Can-Am 3-wheeler. And these were $80 for both, and the ones with the Aprilia part number are $80 each. And then we also have a smaller front sprocket to fix the absolutely ludicrous gearing that this has. We have a performance chip. This is a Gabbro Racing TF18E. And then we have an Airbox mod, and we'll get into all that stuff a bit later. But first, we have to do a bunch of disassembly because we've got to get this thing in the air, back tire off the ground, rear suspension linkage apart, fuel tank has to come off, and that's actually about it. So we'll get started on that. Also, the happy 4th of July. This bike is equal parts like great and not great to work on. It's great because like it's well engineered, but like I'm not taking every hose is crimped. Every hose is crimped on this bike. Also, look at the size of these throttle bodies. They are enormous. So I ended up just kind of wiggling it back and forth to get a tool on the bolts holding in these boots. And as we can see, there is some cracking. Now I can't see light through it, so I don't think that this was affecting how it was running, but those are absolutely done. And now that the bike is as light as it's gonna get because all the stuff is off, I'm going to change tactics, and we're going to do the lifty part to get the rear suspension apart. We're gonna blow everything apart at once on this bike. Oh, Daniel, look at this. It's dual spark plugs, and they are right next to each other.
That's interesting.
Those were real fun to do when I got the bike.
Show them your intake valves.
Yes, you can see right down. I guess you really can't because I don't have a flashlight.
Oh,
but
here,
like the valves are just a straight shot down. Like this thing is meant to make torque. There they are. The back of the valves, they are clean. Everything is very clean. There's some carbon. Ooh, that one's open. can see to the cylinder. I can see the cross hatching on the cylinder from here.
That means there's still cross.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then here's some nonsense that'll probably melt because it's Italian. I don't know why the Italians can't make stator connectors that hold together, but they can't. So anywho, yeah. Also the clean brake fitting for the high pressure fuel line is just adorable. What's less adorable is the fact that the nylon tanks are permeable. So like when pressure builds inside the tank, it bubbles up the vinyl on the tank because gas comes through, it leaches through the nylon and bubbles up the decals. It's real goofy. So we're gonna try and get this thing in the air and presumably do something. I don't know. So this is our dog bone. We've got these center bushings, and then it's full of needle bearings in there. It looks like these can press out in either direction. There is.
I did ride it. There's nothing nice to say.
The eliminator is...
Okay, so that pulls it out. So.
It's 30 doors, and it's just a routing.
So we will want to pull that through. Perfect. So it looks like we want this set up. Oh, sorry, are you guys talking? Oh, shit. Hopefully.
Not gonna blow a lot of that.
Oh no. Hey, can someone pick up the swing arm? More? Ah, oh thank God. Yay! Okay.
Set down?
Yep.
Sorry, there it is.
I got it all out.
You successfully performed an enema?
That is swing arm, no bearings. Oh, the dust seal is still on the other end. There we go. I didn't even realize these were supposed to be rubber. These are absolutely rubber. Oh wait, they're metal. They're not rubber. Oh, they're metal dust seals. Okay. Much progress has been made. The linkage is all in. These don't actually fit in that third location, so I left them out. The bike doesn't have them stock anyway. Smaller sprocket is in. It's really amusing how there's basically, where's the stock one?
Yeah.
Here's the stock one. It has a gnat's hair of clearance all around here. I should probably not forget to put the bolt back in there. And then up here, I've got the new carb boots on, and we're ready to put the airbox back in, but we can't quite figure out how the airbox lid delete works. So it's basically just this skirt that seals against the outside edge of the fuel tank. And then how does the air filter work? Because air comes in here, comes through the middle of the air filter, and then out into the volume of the airbox. And the volume of the airbox is like a resonator chamber for these velocity stacks. That's kind of what the whole deal is here, is we're changing the volume of this resonance chamber. So I got to figure that out. So that's going to go on the bike, and then we can mess with that. That needs to go back on, get tightened down. Put the cover back on, and I'm sure we need to torque, the axle nut after getting our chain tension set. So we're getting there. The sun hasn't set quite yet, so we're making good time so far. Wee lads, so this is the Airbox mod. It is very common on these bikes, and it's actually necessary for the tune that I'm running to have an Airbox mod and an exhaust. And I already have the exhaust, so here we are. Now the problem is, for something that is ubiquitous on these bikes, everyone does this. This is so standard. I could not find any damn pictures of how to actually do it. Unfortunately, my air filter is a little bit worse for wear. There's a closed top air filter that they sell with this kit that I neglected to get. But even then, I don't understand how the air filter is affixed in place, because it just sits in there. Air comes in, air comes in, goes through the filter, and then down into the stacks. So what I ended up doing was taking the airbox lid, because these airboxes are like 60 bucks on eBay. They are nothing particularly valuable, and I've created a hold down for my very sad air filter, and that will allow for freer flowing air. It'll allow for the larger resonant area without messing everything up. And then over here we have our Gabra Racing chip to put into our ECU. So I am going to get to work on both of these things And then the fuel tank goes back on, which is always really fun, and by fun I mean it sucks. Oh boy. It is ECU time. Here it is, lots of glue. Here is the stock ROM, RSV, model year 010203. Not gonna need that anymore. It was installed like this, notch facing the notch. So here is our new Gavbro racing chip. We're gonna install it the exact same way. Apparently it does not require this daughter board according to all the forum threads I've found. And we are just gonna, there we go. No bent pins, money, money. And there is technically a setup procedure that you can do to make sure all your idle trims and whatnot are flawless, but I found a bunch of people have just said they put the chip in and they ride the bike. So I'm going to put the chip in and I'm going to ride the bike. Also, before the tank goes on, here's what the airbox cut looks like. Lots of airflow all over the place. Of course, the actual air comes in through the RSV scoops. And yeah, nice. We're gonna put the tank on off camera. That sucks. So here is the issue with nylon fuel tanks. Ethanol makes them move. They change shape, and then you gotta do real fun pry bar shenanigans.
I feel like a hand model. Oh. It needs to come forward more and to me more.
I can do one of those.
It's gotta do both.
Yeah. So here's the thing about that. Oh, there we go.
Can you go forward just a little more?
Good thing the fuel tank doesn't have to come out for basic maintenance all the time.
Maybe change that filter.
That'd be really unfortunate. Do you guys like reasonable exhaust levels?
No.
That's good. I don't hear fuel pump running.
Is that white plug over here?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just loose. Is there something else we didn't plug in?
The second verse, same as the first. AF1 Racing and Gavbro were extremely helpful, and they made me a new chip for my bike. Don't know what was wrong with the other one. They said they've never seen this happen unless it was installed wrong, and I'm pretty certain I did not install it wrong, so I'll be doing the whole process on video again, just to make sure. I'm sure they don't sell a whole lot of these, so who knows how long the old chip was sitting on the shelf for. Something I noticed is this one is in an anti-static bag, and the other one I don't believe was, so... ECU is back in the bike. I hooked my battery back up, and the main thing we're going to listen here for is the fuel pump running. Ooh, it did. We're in neutral. Let's do a high idle. Actually, let's do low idle. Let's see if the starting logic is any better, or the starting tables, and let's do a low idle and see what we get. We're in neutral. Fire in the hole. A little bit of high idle. This is early EFI. It definitely smells different, and it sounds a little bit different as well. Hopefully that means it rides a bit different. I am very excited to see, but I have to do some cleaning in order to get this thing out of here. So here we have it, a 2003 Superbike wearing short shorts, or maybe they're suspenders. Probably suspenders because they're for old man backs like mine, but I do like the dirt bike bars. The ergonomics of this bike are fantastic. The power is fantastic. The sound is fantastic. By far one of the best parts about this. What's also pretty good is actually working on it. None of this was all that bad. The biggest problem is just this plastic fuel tank. Getting it back in place is kind of a pain, but once you know the trick and have a little help, it's manageable. I mean, all in all, we have a German motor in an Italian motorcycle, and that's a pretty good combination. But the one thing the Italians are best at is sonic perfection. And listening to this thing is almost as good as looking at it. So let's go do that. It's very amusing to me. Anytime one of my friends ride this bike, the intuition is to ride it wrong, like this, just kind of lumping through the gears. And it rewards you for doing that. It has a lot of torque. It actually feels pretty good. But if you're not taking it above 5, and especially if you're not taking it above 8,000 RPM, you're really missing out on what makes this bike special. I mean, sure, flat torque curve is amusing in some context, though interestingly, the tune appears to have made the torque curve flatter, which has actually kind of made the bike a little more boring to ride. It lost a little bit of its character because it had a bit of a torque dip, and that made the power delivery a lot more exciting. Imperfection can be fun. That's one of the things I like about my M2. The new M2 has much better power delivery, but it's a lot less fun. Mine is laggy and snarling and imperfect, and that's what makes it perfect. So I'm a little on the fence about the tune, though it has made the bike a lot more tolerable at slow speeds. And by slow, I mean anything under around 80 or so, where this bike is actually happy. Kind of struggle to tell exactly what this bike is. Like, is it a tourer, or... Is it a rocket ship? It feels like a rocket ship. It also feels like the most confidence-inspiring thing on Earth. This chassis is amazing. This thing feels like it was hewn out of a solid block of granite, especially compared to other bikes from the era like Ducati with their tube frame chassis. I think this is, what, cast aluminum weldments or something like that? The suspension's nothing amazing, especially on this lower end model. This isn't a factory or a race or anything like that, but that mediocre suspension is really allowed to work for you. I mean, I guess I do have the Penske damper in the rear, which helps a lot, and this is all still adjustable. Oh, this road sucks. I mean, the bike's dancing all over the place on this surface, but I feel great. And on actual good roads, it is simply a force of nature. It is truly man and machine. This thing is telepathic on a twisty road. And I'm no skilled rider, especially. I'm just a guy. And the harmony that gets created in the upper revs between the airbox and that titanium exhaust, it's just... it's wonderful. These are the kinds of sounds and sensations that you usually find in a Ferrari. And actually, the performance envelope of this thing is not entirely dissimilar to a Ferrari 599. For, what, under $5,000 for one of these? And they're not particularly uncommon. They're kind of all over the place. This bike's twin is actually for sale locally right now for, I think, $4,300. Of course, it's got 30,000 miles, but in a Can-Am Spyder, this exact engine is known to go up into the 6 figures. Of course, they're detuned to 110 miles an hour, but still. This is an Italian motorcycle with a German engine that's designed by the Canadians, BRP, and it'll last forever. It is kind of the best of all worlds. And then you get it on the highway where it can stretch its legs. Click it into 6th, and we're sitting at 4,000 RPM, and I can just sit here all day long, and I have. I rode this thing to Northwest Arkansas last fall and blasted through some absolutely beautiful scenery and national forests, and it was quite the experience. Now, you are a little bit folded up on here. It's not truly a touring seating position. If you've got sciatica, you might run into problems, though after a day on this bike, I had actually stretched my sciatic nerve to the point where I didn't have pain anymore. So maybe this bike is therapy. I wonder if I can get my health insurance to help me pay for this thing. The other thing that's a little bit crazy about this bike is how modern it seems. I'm not just talking about the styling, though the styling does it looks a lot newer than it is, with the frame design and the plastics design, and everything about it screams 2012, not 2002 in my mind. But the way that the engine responds, and especially the electronic fuel injection, I mean, I've ridden a few Ducatis from this era, ST2s and 750SSs and stuff like that, which were their first attempt at fuel injection, just like this was Ducati's, or this was Aprilia's first fuel injected bike. Well, the Millie, which is the same bike as this. This thing, they nailed it right out of the gate. This feels almost indistinguishable from the EFI on a, like, modern-ish, 2018 bike. Now, newer ones have stuff like a idle air control valve and stuff that this lacks, thus the manual idle up lever, but I mean, my KLX doesn't have that either, so there's some modern bikes that are still like that. But if you were to get on this bike with your eyes closed and with no knowledge about it, you'd have no way of knowing how old this thing is, which makes it an even better value to me because you're getting all the best parts of a modern bike experience, but without any nannies and without any super expensive modules to go wrong. I mean, you get an ECU and that's about it. No ABS, no traction control, no wheelie control. This is a bike that kind of feels like it wants to kill you, and that is why you get it. What's funny about the gearing is I think I'm in 4th now, and this is where it feels like it wants to be at 70 miles an hour. Gearing on superbikes is truly wild. Oh, it sounds good though. Ah! Let's go for the economy gear. Yeah, that was 4th. Now we're in 6th. And thinking, this is a high displacement V-twin, even in 6th it should accelerate nicely, but it kind of feels, it does accelerate nicely from 4,000 RPM at 60 miles an hour, but it kind of feels like it hates you when you do it. Oh, did I mention the brakes? The brakes are good. The brakes would be better if I actually knew where my braking zone was, but I'm on a highway, so there aren't exactly braking zone markers. I'm also riding like a total pansy because this is like the 3rd time I've ridden this bike since doing all the work to it. Gosh. A lot of my friends ride this and they say the same thing they say when they drive my M2. How do you not have all the speeding tickets? And honestly, I don't know. This thing is a whole experience, and I am always here for the experience. It's not the best on paper, it's not the best specs. The newer ones are technically much better. But this one just has something. After this, Aprilia moved to making their engines in-house, I believe, with the 4-cylinders. But I kind of like this BRP lump. It's really good. And these bikes are really cheap. And you're getting an analog superbike that still has this dry sump engine that you can get parts for. It's such a weird combination. I don't think anything else like it exists in the Pantheon. As far as actual performance goes, this thing is fairly similar in performance to an MT-07 or an FC7. It's a little bit better. You know, I can pull on my buddy's MT-7 pretty handily. An MT-9 or FC9 will leave me for dead on its back wheel, but those bikes don't feel like they want to kill you like this does, and that's just not as much fun. You get on those and they're tame, they're computerized, they're very artificial feeling. This is none of that. This is all anger and emotion and a cable throttle and a barking exhaust note. It's beautiful. I absolutely love this thing. If you have the chance to swing your leg over one, definitely do it. It's also pretty easy to ride. Like, there's nothing weird about this bike. The only thing I'd say is the throttle is very sensitive on these. You don't so much twist the throttle as you do just lightly apply pressure to it to accelerate, which takes all of 10 minutes to get used to. It's not all that bad. But if you're so inclined to add a pasta rocket to your stable, you're looking at Ducatis, but you're more used to Hondas, this might split the difference for you. I truly think this bike is superb, and after all these fixes and these simple bolt-on mods, I think this is about peak for one of these. Sure, it can get better, but I think we're gonna hit diminishing returns with anything past this. I would like to get it on a dyno to see what it's making at some point. One thing I would like to do is get a mid-pipe for it, because I hear that's where a lot of the gains can be made. There are a lot of people making 130 at the wheel on these bikes, which is pretty impressive for a Stone Age 1 liter. Well, I'll run it through the revs from this light and I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching.